In this video, we'll be learning how to cut some of this trendy neckline, the altar, one shoulder, asymmetrical, scalloped, queen in, sweetheart, and wrap neckline. My name is Veronica Adams Eze. Welcome to Vera Adams YouTube channel. So I'll be making use of this size 6 pattern paper that I already have drafted. So I'm opening it up as this is for the one shoulder neckline. Yes. Next thing is to get the midline of the paper or the fabric that you're using, and from there take your desired neck width. I'll be using 3.5 inches for mine. You can use less or you can use more depending on the size you're working on. You would also need to decide where you want your one shoulder to fall on, the right or the left side. I would want mine to be on the right. That means to be coming from the right to the left. I'm marking 5 inches here for the depth of my neckline, and this also has to do with how low I want the other shoulder, which is going to drop, to be. Now I'm drawing a straight line from the 5 inches at the midpoint down to the armhole line. Moving on, I'll be using my curve to connect it down to the neck width that I marked earlier. If you don't have a curve with you, it's actually fine. It is really not necessary. So you can actually use your free hand. I've actually used free hand for this several times and it actually came out well. So you've got nothing to worry about, trust me. So now it's time to start cutting. I'm going to cut in from this angle down to the other end. Yes. So here you have it, your one off shoulder. It's that easy, right? This pattern you're seeing right here is for the scallop neckline. I'm using a neck depth of 7 inches. I'll be dividing it into 3. Yes, the first one will be 3 inches, and I'll be sharing the remaining 4 inches into 2 places. That is 3, 2, 2. That's why you see at 3 inches, at 5 inches, and then at 7 inches. Hope you understand. I'm using a neck width of 3.5 and 2/4. That is 3.75 inches. I'll be using that same measurement at the 7 inches mark that I made for the neckline depth, so that I can have a straight line, just as you see me doing right here. Yes, a straight line from that point down upward. Then I connect it like so. So I have something somewhat of a box. So I'm connecting what I marked earlier so that I can have 3 divisions. You don't necessarily have to do 7 inches. You could go as much as 8 inches, 9 inches, depending on what you want. And you could divide it any way you want. You could have more than 3 divisions actually. You could have 4 or 5. 3 division, I'll be starting from the middle. Yes, that's the second line. So as you can see, I'm dividing what I have, 3.5 and 2/4 by 2. Like I'm dividing into 2 so I can get the midpoint of that line, because it's from there that I'll connect to the third line, as you see me do right here. So I'm using my curve. See the way I'm placing my curve? Yes, you need to get the placement right so that the scallop neckline will come out well. From that same midline, from the second line, I'll be connecting to the first line. Yes, to the end of the first line. Pay attention to how I'm placing the curve so that I can get it right. I don't know if it is possible for you to use your free hand and get it right here. Well, you could try, but I haven't tried that yet, so I really don't know. So right here, I'm cutting it out. I'm carefully cutting it out. Right from the third line down to the first line. And then you connect straight. You see the other part you're seeing from right here, it's a straight line that connects to the neckline. Yes, the depth of the neckline that we marked earlier. So just cut it right there. And there you have your scallop neckline. It really came out well, don't you think? Yes, I think it really did come out well. It is possible to have a wider neckline. It all depends on your choice, so do you. Now we'll be learning how to cut a queen hand neckline using this pattern paper. This paper is folded into two. As you can see, I just drew a line across from the armhole down to the midpoint. Now I'm taking the neckline width at 3 inches and I'm coming down. I want a depth of 8.5 inches. If you don't want it to be so revealing, you can come up to about 7 inches. Here I'm taking a measurement of 5 inches, yes, as you can see me do, and I'll connect it down to the 3 inches that I marked earlier for the neck width. Moving on, I'll be connecting from that point using my curve to the 8.5 inches that I marked for the depth. Yes, I'm trying to get the best curve line, yes, so that I can get the desired curve that I want. Curve ruler has a number of sides, and the degree of the curviness varies, so you need to pick the one that is best for you. So here I've connected it down, and now it's time to start cutting. So I'm cutting from this point here down carefully. I'm doing so, and I'm cutting also from the upper side here to connect down. Right now our queen and neckline is ready. Yay! Well, some might really want the sides to come in more. From where I'm pointing at, you can still connect down depending if you want to show off more flesh. So right here I'm working on the outer neckline, and I'm taking a neck width of 3.5 inches and a neck depth of 2 inches, because for outer neck the depth doesn't have to be so low, so 2 inches is fine for me. You can use 2.5 or 3 maximum, 3 inches maximum. So here I'm connecting it from the depth to the width. I'm using freehand, as you can see. So right here, don't forget the paper is folded into two. Using my curve ruler to connect from the neck width down into the armhole. It has to go in to the armhole. So that's what I'm doing right now. Then moving on, I'll cut. So right now we have our outer neckline ready. Yes, this is what it looks like when you open it up, and what it looks like when you have it folded. The next neckline is the wrap neckline, and for this type of neckline you need to open up your paper or the fabric that you're using. So when you open up from the midpoint, you need to get your midpoint, the midpoint of your paper or your fabric. From the midpoint, take your desired neck width. Here I'll be using 3.5 inches. You can as well use 4 inches. This depends on what you want. And for the neck depth, I'll be using 7 inches. I'm coming down to mark 2 inches away from the bottom. Yes, right there. And from there, I'm going to connect down. I'm going to connect upward. I'm going to connect upward to the 7 inches depth, and from there to the 3.5 inches width. I'll be starting by connecting the 3.5 inches width to the 7 inches depth first. And from there I'll be connecting down to that 2 inches away from the bottom that I marked. Now after I'm done with that, I'm going to go in to blend that sharp edge that you see right there, because you really don't want any sharp edge. Yes, so I'll go in to blend that. Now that that is done, I'm going to go ahead to start cutting all the way from that bottom right up to the top. Right now we are moving on to the asymmetrical neckline, and for this neckline we're going to be opening up. Yes, we're going to be opening up your paper or your fabric. From the midpoint of the paper, I'm going to be taking neck width of 3.5 inches. Just like I say, it depends on what you want. You can go in by 4 or 4.5. And on the other end, you're going to make the other end wider than the first one. I hope you get what I'm saying. If one end of the neckline is 3 inches, the other end can be 5 inches, just like what I did here. I made one end for 3.5 and the other end for 5 inches. I'm using a neck depth of 7 inches, and I'll be connecting the lines to form a box so that can serve as a guide for us. It will guide us in making our neckline. Please note that it's not necessary for one side of the neckline to be wider than the other. I just prefer mine being that way, and the wider neckline could fall either on the left side or on the right side. It really doesn't matter, it depends on your choice. Mine for this tutorial is going to be falling on the left side. That is the wider neckline. It's going to be falling on the left side. I noticed that my marker pen is not as sharp as it was at the beginning. Please bear with me. Finally, we have our box ready to guide us into the neckline. So from that edge, we'll be connecting down upward, as you see me do here. I'm going to be cutting right from the top down to the bottom carefully. I'm going to be following the line. And I forgot to mention, this is my first sewing tutorial here on YouTube. Kindly encourage me by subscribing to this channel and clicking on the like button if this video was helpful. Now that we're done cutting, we now have our beautiful asymmetrical neckline. The final neckline, which is a sweetheart neckline, I added bust that. I did that off camera. Right now I'm taking the neck depth at 8.5 inches. Yes, because I want it a bit deep. Don't forget, you can actually make yours lower or higher depending on what you want. I'm connecting from the neck depth to the first dart leg, just as you see me do right here, using the curve ruler, and I'm turning it the other way around to connect the second dart leg into the armhole line, just as you see me do right now. Proceed to take my neckline width, and that is 3.5, and neckline depth of 3 inches. Then I'm going ahead to connect those two together using my curve ruler. And from that 3 inches depth, I'll be going down by 1 inch. Or if you want, you could actually start from that 3 inches depth, but I'd like to go down by 1 inch from there. The difference between the two is that if you start from that 3 inches, you'll be showing more skin than when you go down by 1 inch. Right now, you're going to be connecting from that point to the second dart leg. Yes, please notice the second dart leg. I'm sure you are wondering, why am I connecting from that 3 inches point exactly? I just want you to see what it looks like. You can see right now that I'm doing it from that 1 inch down. Yes, so here you have it. But I realized that I really want it a bit curvy, just slightly curvy, so that's why I'm using that slightly curved part of my ruler, cancelling out the first and the third line, as the second line is a line I'm going to be using. While sewing, I noticed that one side of the bust dart is usually longer than the other. So to correct this, that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure that I'm trying to close the darts so that I can see if one is longer than the other. So right here I discovered that one is about 1/4 longer than the other, and I tried correcting that by adding 1/4 to the other side that is shorter. If you can see it here, you see one is actually longer. So right there I'm trying to correct that by adding 1/4 to the other side. So having done that, you can see now there's an extension. So from that line that I extended, I'm going to connect it back to the previous curve that I did earlier. I'm trying to get the right positioning for my curve rule so that I can get what I actually want. I'm sure you can now see the extension. Now when I join, they will be of equal length. So right now I'm going ahead to cut, and I'm going to be following the new curve that I did. Now I'm done cutting. Actually, this is a 2-in-1 neckline because you have a sweetheart neckline and you have a keyhole yoke. Yes, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If you found this video helpful, kindly like, and do not forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel to encourage me to do more. If you have any questions, feel free to put them down in the comment section. I'll be there to respond to you swiftly. Till I see you in my next video. Bye.